Welcome to the MoonDog38732 show. And you guessed it, I'm MoonDog38732. On this show, I'm going to just tell you some stories about how I grew up and how those same stories and experiences helped me to be the person I am to be today. Today, I'm going to talk about a genius. He was all, I'm going to actually call it DJ Genius. Now, this right here goes out to my brother. My brother was the first person I really looked up to, the person I wanted to be like. He was really, to me, like a superhero. He could do things that I couldn't do, like work with his hands and things like that. He was the first person to introduce me to like hip hop, like stuff from Miami, 2 Live Crew, DJ Magic Mike. I'm talking about out here in Texas dealing with Rodney O and DJ KoolAid, Everlasting Bass. He's the first person that I heard Sir Mix-a-Lot, Buttermilk Biscuits, Square Dance Rap, all those things like that. East Coast, he was the East Coast, he was the Cool Modi. And even in Atlanta, MC Shy D. So I knew about all those things because of my brother. He was actually a genius in a lot of things. He was really, really good at a lot of things that he did. But because of, let's just say, I believe that if he would have had some more opportunities in certain aspects and made a couple different choices, he would have been a multi-millionaire. Now, with that being said, he's a hilarious guy. You ever been around him? He's funny. He can make fun of anything. Even though it may be inappropriate sometimes, he's a very hilarious guy. At the same time, he's like the Joker type of funny, which led to me trying to kill him when I was 10 years old. But that's a story for another time. We ain't gonna worry about that. We ain't gonna focus on nothing like that. We're gonna focus on my brother and how he influenced me and how I looked up to him when I was younger. All right. So my brother, he had like he had like a case. It was like a rectangle. It had all these tapes and things in it, right? And I mean, he had like all different types of music, man. Music I never heard of and music that I never heard anybody else in our neighborhood or even our city playing, right? So he was to me like the first person that ever did. Like, but my mother, she had not a component set. You know, cause a component set, for those of you that remember what those are, that's like one of those big radio with the big knobs. So she had more like a stereo system. And her stereo system, she had like at the bottom, you press the button, and a record player part just came at the bottom, right? So my brother, he would always like tinker with it. He wanted to be a DJ as well because he was a musically inclined type of person. Not as far as playing instrument, but as far as hip hop and rap and things like that. Matter of fact, today you might catch him trying to bust a high 16 off the top of his head right now. And he also watches battle rap and things of that nature. So so he would get put a record on the record player, right? But it was like different settings on the record. There was speed. He was actually the first person that I heard slow a record down. Before DJ Screw, before all these other cats, he was the first person that I saw slowing a record down. So I would like sit beside him and just like, just be in awe of everything he's doing, everything he's able to do. So it seemed like to me like he was able to just like that figure things out when he dealt with working with his hands. So I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh man, he got it going on, he doing this, he doing that. And so he would just start like scratching the records, right? But for those of us that know anything about music, you have to have certain needles, you have to have certain types of turntables and certain type of record players and certain type of records. So he was just scratching, man. And he was going through a whole session like he was DJ Jazzy Jeff, you know what I'm saying? So he was just going and going and going. But because he didn't have the things that he needed to be successful in the DJing business, let's just say he broke a couple of my mother's needles for her records. So her record player. So she would have to either go to like Camelot. For those of y'all that remember Camelot from back in the day, or you try to go to Sound Center or places like that to try to get her some needles for her record player, right? Every time she got one, he would go back to his DJing set and he would break it, right? So I'm just sitting there like, hey man, this is what he do. He's practicing, right? And so one day she got like a needle, but it's with a diamond needle, right? Put that in quote. And diamonds are really supposed to be really difficult to break or crush or anything like that. So, my brother proved that to be wrong. Bam, 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 bam. He's scratching it, mixing it. He's spinning it, he's doing everything to it. Within a couple of days, that needle tapped out and he broke that needle as well. But on this particular occasion, what put me in awe of him. So one day he comes into the house. I'm watching TV because we had like our record player right here, and the TV was right here, and the record player was on like a stand. So my mom had her records like underneath the stereo, and she had a set of records over here, right? And she used to throw parties and stuff back in the day. So I saw him one day. He comes in with a screwdriver. I'm like, okay. Some wood glue. I'm like, okay. Some Christmas lights. Okay. Some plugs. Like the brown extension cord plugs. Some wire scribbers and stuff like that. I'm like, man, this dude, what does he got going? He got a whole science project going on. Then I see him unplug my mom's stereo, right? So when he unplugged the stereo, I'm looking like, what? He unplugged the stereo. So he take the speaker, the front part of the speaker, that little cloth, that little mesh sticker stuff, the speaker guard. So he took that off. He took that off both the speakers, right? So he got the screwdriver, just start unscrewing the speakers, right? On both sides. I'm like, what is he doing? My mom gonna kill him. So he just got the speakers, man, and he got the Christmas light, and he stripped the plastic off the Christmas light and just started snipping them, right? I'm like, what is he doing? So he go back to the back of the speakers, and you can see like the magnet on the back of the speakers and all that. I'm like, man, what is he doing? So he just started stripping the wires from the speakers, and then he spliced that with the wires from the Christmas lights, right? I'm like, what the hell, this dude right here? I mean, like, what? Where did this come from? Where did this plan come from? Did he all of a sudden think this? Was he thinking of this overnight? So he got everything, put it together, put it back together, right? Plugged it back up, and he put a tape in. Tape had a little bass in it too. It might have been everlasting bass, or it might have been some DJ Magic Mike, but it had like a lot of bass in it, right? So he turns it on. He's like, watch this. Which he was the originator of watch this. And I'm going to say that's the reason why I sat back and watched things happen a lot, because he would always tell me to watch this. At the same time, before we get into the next part, this is how much I idolize him. I want to have like haircut like him, but his hair was different from mine, so we can worry about that. I want to walk like him. I talk like him. I did a lot of the things that he did. He can cook too. I want to cook. You talking about can cook? This dude would cook a whole family pack of chicken wings, which my mama went out for about, and a whole pot of rice. And the thing about the rice, he would get like an entire stick of butter, right, and put it into the rice. And we would just sit there and just like smash it, man, because hey, we was hungry, right? And he would like make KoolAid and stuff like that, man. He had like the best KoolAid, but I got him beaten out on that KoolAid, so I'm cool on it. And so now we go back, let's get back to the lights and stuff. So I get the lights, he plug everything back in, put the tape in, press the power button, press play. I'm looking like, okay, the music playing, okay. I'm like, what the hell is Christmas lights? Put them on for nothing. And next thing you know, when the bass hit, every time the bass hit, the Christmas lights would blink. I'm like, what the hell, this dude right here, this dude done pulled a MacGyver, a Mr. Wizard. I'm like, man, this dude right here is like a genius, right? And then, so he did his thing. So for days, we was like, I'm turning it on, I'm bumping his tapes. Which he didn't really like me messing with his tapes, but hey, this need to hit over there. And so I'm just like messing with his tapes and stuff, and I'm bumping. Cool. I'm like, oh man, nobody got this. My pilots come over, I show it to them. They're like, wow. Hey, we was amazed, right? Man, one day, my mom just came in and she wanted to play her records. She put a record on. It might have been Whitney Houston. It might have been Frankie Beverly Mays. It might have been Fat Luther, not Skinny Luther, Fat Luther. And she would just like do her thing, right? And then next thing you know, one nose hit, and the lights had flashed on, right? And she was like, she thought it was like something going on with the speaker, like her stereo's messing up. So she ended up, she would yell at his name. I ain't gonna call his name because I'm gonna say brother and stuff like that. So she called my brother's name. Get in here. He got up in there. He was like, what's wrong? And then she's like, what the hell happened to my stereo, my record player? It got lights in it. And this dude gonna say with a straight face, I just made it better. So I'm like, hey, look at my mama's face like, I'm gonna better your ass. Right? Don't you mess about stuff like that. And to this day, man, that dude always amazes me on the things that he's able to come up with. That's a small tribute to my brother. Love that dude. All right, y'all have a good day.